as I said, I'm going to show you how to various ways of making a dubbing loop. The first one that I worked with when I was starting to make them was using one of these. It's a hackle plier. They're also called terminal clips, and I start off by having a bit of thread sticking out, tiny bit of dubbing, and you spin the dubbing on as you normally would on the thread. Then I take my clip, put it on, wrap my thread over once in front and then once again behind and back to the front. Then I just twist it up like so. And as you can see, I get a very fine dubbing noodle, and just wrap it on. And once you get to the end, tie it off. Clip it off. That was the first time, the first dubbing loop method I used. After doing that for a few years, I went to a dubbing tool, or a spinning tool like this. Just has a flexible set out here and a heavy brass end. So again, I take my dubbing, put a little bit of dubbing on it. I'm going to make this a little smaller, you don't need to see the whole dubbing thing. Then put the hooks on, let it hang, again, in front, behind, wrap it off, and then I let this just dangle straight down and give it a spin, which doesn't work all that well, so I ended up usually picking it up, doing this, and again, wrap the dubbing. I'm just going to clip this off. Finally, after having been to a couple tying nights with Rick, I saw his little dubbing tool, which, by the way, is a Dynaking. He used to use the Dynaking Shorty, I believe. Now he's using the big one. And so again, put some dubbing on. I went out and bought the River Run Company tool. This is it here, heavy handle with a slot in it. They tell me this is for packing dubbing on your fly. It comes with a hook end, and there are a couple others that I have right here, I believe. Somewhere I had them. I don't know where they are right now, but they're a double hook like the last one I showed you, and a single spreader. I prefer this one. It seems to work as well as anything. So again, I just hang it on there, let the weight of it hold it down, front, behind, and then you just take it and spin it like that. Now the one that Rick has is ball bearing. Mine is a bushing, so it's not quite as good. And again, you can see how tight that noodle gets. This is perfect for doing an Adams, a dry fly, something like that. If you wanted a looser look, it's quite easy to do. Part of it you just do simply by changing your dubbing or by changing the technique. So again, that's nice. These are good for dry fly. If I wanted a looser leech type pattern, I would take something in the mohair or semi-seal range, and a little bit of dubbing wax if you have it. If you don't, you can just use your finger, moisten your finger with saliva. I do have dubbing wax. I don't keep mine in a tube. I learned a long time ago that if you keep it in a little jar like this, it tends to stay cleaner, and what I like about it is I get it on my finger. So I take a little bit of dubbing wax on my finger, and then I apply that to the thread. What that does is gives me a nice even coating of dubbing on the thread, but if I rub my fingers like this, it also gives my fingers a little bit more tack, which is nice to have when you're applying dubbing, to be able to spin it on a little better. Now I'm wanting a nice loose application. I would take something like this, clump of dubbing, just spread it out and tack it down. That's what the wax is there for. And again, hang my hook, whoops, hang my hook, capture the dubbing between the two threads, wrap both sides, this way this keeps it from unraveling, and now you can see this is a much buggier looking, much shaggier looking dubbing. Wrap it around, tie it off, clip it off, I have just a little piece of Velcro glued to a plexi rod. That's a dubbing picker for me, and there we go. Now you have a very buggy looking dubbing on there as well. So those are the three methods that I have used over the past. I'm now pretty well stuck on this guy here. This is by far the best, fastest way to deal with it for me. The only thing I would do at some point in the future is to buy a good Dynaking with the ball bearings so that it would keep spinning. This here stops after a very short time. Rix will spin like a center pin. So, hope that helps you. Go out, spin some dubbing loops. They're much better. I'm going to show you one other technique on another video. I have a dubbing brush, turbo brush builder, turbo brush block that I built. It's quite easy to put together, and I'll explain a couple variations on it that I would, or adaptations that I would make on that as well when we get around to it. Hope this helps.